Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. And welcome everybody back to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast.
Welcome back. Hope you had a great week and hope you had a smile on your face the whole time and enjoyed your vacation if you're on summer vacation.
And our last week's episode was about what was bugging David and why Sheldon was crying all the time. So if you want to know the answers to those questions, you should go back and watch that episode. So
we had a little homework. I don't know if you did it or not, but hopefully had I don't know where it happened. Oh, here we go. The don't knee-jerk reactions. B, just do, but B, so that you can enjoy. Just be in the moment so you can enjoy who you are. So hopefully you take the time to enjoy and just be where you are, because sometimes it's hard to be.
Yes.
And so if you can just think, hey, I'm here and I'm going to enjoy no matter what I'm going through it for a reason, and I'm going to experience it because I may not experience it again. So
yes. And that goes right hand in hand with what we were talking about, which was, you're experiencing what's coming up for you in that moment. And sometimes we end up experiencing things that we don't necessarily want to experience, right? Like, why is this happening to me? Why do I keep running into jerks? Or, why do I keep getting fired from my job? That happened to me all the time. I'd quit or get fired or whatever. There's like a 20-year period where my longest job was 2 years. You know what I mean? It just kept happening over and over and over again. And I'd be like, what the heck's going on? And people often wonder, because there's a lot of teachings out there that talk about what they call the law of manifestation, or the law of attraction. Was a number one top movie for years, right? The Secret, which was basically this idea of the law of attraction, which is that the universe is providing you what you're attracting to you, and there's a reason for it, and there's a lesson in there somewhere. And how do you attract what you really want? Right? Because there are people that, and it got into this whole idea of mantras, and sometimes prayer can be like that too, right? Oh, this is what I really want. This is what I really want. This is what I really want. Right? And you're just like, you're kind of whining all the time on a certain level. I don't want to say, but it can be.
Yeah, but like for me, because you're saying in the prayer, which is it is, because you're like, oh, I want this, please help me with this. It's like, no, that's, and the great orator, great philosopher Garth Brooks said, thank God for unanswered prayers, because sometimes you're like, that's not what you need to be praying for.
Right.
God's like, no. But like when I quote unquote pray, it's like, open me up to what I need to be for the person that's going to come to me. And
that's
open
beautiful.
up that person, whoever it is, hopefully they're being worked on, so that when we come together, we know it, and it's an awesome connection. So it's that more of like, open me up so I can see what I need to see, hear what I need to hear, and feel what I need to feel.
Dude, that's freaking beautiful, man.
And that's helped me so much. It's like, no, now it's like, oh, I want this, I want that. Oh. It's like, no, what do I need? And when is that person going to come? That person may sit next to me. I'll be having dinner over here at Fat Willie's by my house, and all of a sudden someone comes sit next to me and spark up a conversation. That may be the person that was asking for them to have someone that's worked on, and that may be the person that I'm supposed to be talking to. We don't know.
Right.
But you never know at this point. So that's where agree. If you're praying, I want this, I want this, I want this, you're probably not going to get it, because that means you're just needy. It's like, hey, you have to be open to what is there. I may want this 5'8", blonde hair, blue-eyed, sun-skinned woman. It's like, no, you're not getting that. You're getting this is what you need. Just because it's that's just a thing. I'm not going to enter it yet, but it's like, well, no, that's not. It may be another person that has the connection, not the outside look, but what's the inside look. And so sometimes we get stuck in that. And that's when I started in my little prayer time, mantra time zone, like, just make me who I need to be for the person who's going to come to me. And so that we know at that time that we're connected. But I open up my eyes, my ears, and my heart, so I know I'm in the right place. And I'm getting closer to feeling so much better about things. And we've talked about things that I've been through, and even dreams, and everything. Just boom, I'm starting to feel so much better.
And that's beautiful, dude. And part of what that prayer does, right, is you're asking that you be changed or cleared or purified or healed or right? That
Hmm.
you can see, that you can feel, that you can do what you need to do so that you're open and ready and in the place for
Yeah.
that next relationship, right?
Hmm.
And I think that that is a key to this idea of the law of manifestation or the law of attraction, is that um, so many times we want the whole world to change, but what are we doing to change? Right? It's that idea of um, you know, Thich Nhat Hanh, that Buddhist monk, said you have to be the peace you want to see in the world. You
Yeah.
know, you want peace
Hmm.
in the world, and yet you're angry all the time and you're pissed off. Then you're putting out this energy of anger and aggression and confrontation in your
Hmm.
own heart. And if you have that in your own heart, how do you expect the whole world to be different, right?
Yeah.
So it starts with you. Like, you have power, you
Hmm.
have the power to create things and to change things. And so, um,
And on that, real quick, if you're angry and mad at the world, you're going to attract someone who's angry and mad at the world. You're not going to
right,
attract. You're not going to attract someone who's like, "Oh, I love this, I love that." No, because those two don't go together.
right.
They could for a minute and it's over. But
Yes,
you're attracting what you are.
yes,
So,
exactly. Who was it? I think it was the dude I was training, and he said, your frequency is what you frequently see.
oh yes, you said that before. I
Yeah, I said
love
that
that.
one, I think, a couple of episodes ago, and I was just like,
Uh-huh.
"Oh, that's awesome, dude!" But that's that whole idea of the law of attraction, or law of mirroring, as Teal Swan would call it, is that you're the external world is a mirror for your internal state, right? So your
Mm-hmm.
internal state, if all you're seeing is people being aggressive towards you, or people putting you down, or people, well, what is your internal state? And oftentimes what you'll find out is you're really negative to yourself. You're putting yourself down. You're talking shit to yourself. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you suck. You're da, da, da. And then, well, then what does the universe do? It's, people are doing that to you externally. And you're like, why is this person doing it? But you're blaming it outside. And so you don't realize that you have that
Mm-hmm.
energy within you, and you're just seeing it reflected back outside. And that's the number one thing I think about this law of manifestation or attraction or mirroring or whatever you want to call it, um, that people don't realize that you're kind of you are creating all the time. Oh, I want to create a
Mm-hmm.
better life for myself. I want to create the perfect partner. I want to create a better job. Well, you are a creator. you know you're the
Mm-hmm.
divine spark, and we have that power of creation, and that is happening all the time, whether you're conscious of it or not. In other words, look around your world. That's what you created. That's
Mm-hmm.
what's perfect for you. You want to change it, there's something inside you that has to shift so that you
Mm-hmm.
create differently, right? and
Yeah.
and that's what you're talking about in that prayer. Help me to see that, help me to clear that, help me to heal that, help me to open up more, help me to hear, see, so I have the
Mm-hmm.
eyes to see and the ears to hear and all of those things, right? So that I can be ready for that shift. But I need to shift inside, right? And that's acknowledging that, right?
Correct.
um, and I think that that's the key, that so many people want to sit there and they think that they can pray, 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 or whatever, manifest their way, or just think about it all the time. And you see people with post-its. I met a girl one time and she had post-its all around her mirror. I want more, more money, or whatever it was. And it was kind of, it was weird and funny, but people get stuck with things like that. And
Yeah.
it's that whole idea of being positive. And we've talked about it before in the show, where it's like, hey, you need to be able to see everything clearly, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need to be able to step back and witness both the yin and the yang, the
Yeah.
good and the bad, clearly, because then you're seeing accurately, right? And then that's
Mm-hmm.
transcendence, right? You're stepping back. um, and it's also that idea that, Carl Jung said that, if you look at like an iceberg, 5% of the iceberg is above water and 95%
Mm-hmm.
is below water. And that part that's below water is your subconscious mind, and the part that's above water is your conscious thoughts. So
Mm.
you're consciously controlling about 5% of what's going on. 95%
Wow.
is below the level of consciousness. It's subconscious, and it's
Mm-hmm.
remote control. And so what Carl Jung said is, until you make the subconscious conscious, it's going to rule your life, and you're going to call it fate.
Mm.
So it's like, oh, bad luck is always happening to me. Why are people all jerks? Well, look at all your subconscious behaviors and your subconscious
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and the way you are and all that kind of stuff. And so this idea of accepting personal responsibility, like, I can responsibility, I have the ability to respond, right? People don't even,
Mhm.
when you look at that word responsibility, I have ability to choose how I respond. And we've been talking about that for all of these episodes, really, is looking inside, looking at
Mhm.
how I'm behaving, how our last homework was, right, take a step back,
Mhm.
pause, take a breath, right? Go get a cup of coffee, like your dad would say, right?
Yep.
Quiet yourself down, calm down before you respond, right? You have the ability to shift how you respond. Um,
Yeah.
and as you're doing these things through prayer, to clear these things out through meditation, right? To clear, uh, when you take that journey of turning back and looking inside yourself, or looking outside, but recognizing that everything you see outside of you is a mirror of what you see inside of you. So when
Mhm.
you, it's like, what do you need to work on? Well, what bugs you? That's what I always say. What do you need to
Yeah.
work on in the world? Well, what irritates you?
Mhm.
What triggers you? When somebody says this, I get mad. Okay, well, there's 3 you need to work, but you need to work on the inside about that, because you
Mhm.
have the ability to respond differently. We can always respond from a place of love and compassion. We talked about that before, right?
Yep.
That if we know and recognize that everybody's either responding from love or fear, and we know, hey, when
Mhm.
they're coming at me with love, then the appropriate response is loving back. And if they're coming at me from a place of fear, and I know that, and I see that, and I feel that, then of course I'm going to respond with compassion, with
Mhm.
empathy,
But you
compassion,
gotta you
patience.
gotta see it though.
You got to be able to
Yeah.
see it and feel it, right? You got to see it
Mhm.
clearly. You got to be able to feel that and know that in your heart that, hey, this dude's not really, you know, she's not
Mhm.
she's not meaning that. She's coming from she's got a lot of stuff that she needs to
Yeah.
heal or whatever. And that compassion arises naturally. And then you respond back with love, right? And when you start to do that, then the external manifestations shift, right? Because you've healed
Yeah.
something within yourself. And that to me is the biggest key, is again, this idea of personal responsibility, of looking within yourself, you know, and also paying attention to how you talk to yourself mentally, because I think so many
Mhm.
people um, can be compassionate and kind to the outside world and patient. Oh, that's okay. Somebody does something mean. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. But how are you to yourself? You're like, oh, I can't believe
Mhm.
you did that. You're such a jerk. And the
We're
mental
we're our
chatter.
worst own critic. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll stand up and I'll preach it
Yep.
forever. I'm just so bad with myself. It's like I need to stop. I stop myself.
Yep.
Like this morning, I had to go stop. Why
Yep.
is your brain going there?
Yep.
Because that's a hot mess,
Yep.
good or bad.
Yep.
But you have to stop it because we're so negative. We're easy to be more negative to ourselves,
Yep.
and when we do that, we go to that bad part, and the
Hmm.
subconscious says, God, you're a bad person. You're stupid. You're dumb.
Yep.
No, when you say no, let that go. It's okay. Boom, boom, boom.
Yep.
Stop it. You know,
Yep.
stop,
Drop
drop,
and breathe.
breathe.
Yep.
There we go. And
Of
so
course, Miracle said your mind is insane.
it's true. Okay.
It's
I
literally
testify. I
insane.
testify.
The thoughts that go on in here are bonkers. And until you accept that and appreciate that. Um,
Okay. I haven't read it, so now I know. Good. Thank you.
yeah. So, um, and one of the reasons it says that you're insane is you think you're separate from God, and you're not.
Mm,
So if you're
mm.
using a mind that thinks it's where it's not, it's completely wrong. And you can't
Oh,
use that
wow.
thing to get back, because you're not separate. And when you think you are, you're totally off base.
Yeah.
So you're using a reference point that's completely off off track. It's like
Which
trying to
would make,
use
yeah.
it's
Go ahead.
trying it's like living in San Francisco and trying to use a map of New York City to get home. It
Hmm.
doesn't work. You're in the wrong
No.
place. You
Yeah.
think you're in the wrong place and you're not. So anyway, so
Interesting.
yeah, this idea that we take that personal responsibility and we look inside, and we look with love and compassion. So we look with patience, love, and compassion on whatever is coming up.
Hmm.
And that is the fastest way to shift what we're attracting,
Yeah.
rather than trying to use the 5% of our brain and say, oh, this is what I want, 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 and just saying it over and over again, which is what people do with mantras and stuff like that. And it's not
Hmm.
that those things don't have some effect, because they do, but just understanding that what you're doing when you're doing something consciously is you're working with the 5%. And how do
Hmm.
you work with the 95% that's not conscious? Um, it has to do with the feelings that are triggered within you, right? So when
Hmm.
somebody does something and it triggers something that's not pleasant for you, that's usually something that needs to be released, right? And how do you
Mhm.
do that? You look at that with love and compassion and witnessing, right? And
Yeah.
then those things start to change on the outside as what's changed on the inside happens. So then the outside becomes a reflection of something different. So I always, to
Yeah.
me, it's kind of like I don't even pay attention to this idea of law of attraction. I pay more attention to how I'm feeling in any given moment and being
Mm.
in a place of peace, being in a place of loving compassion and peace, both for myself and everybody around, and staying in the heart, staying in that place at all times, and then just trusting that whatever's coming is there for a reason. Does it make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. The and you're as you're talking about paying attention to self at times. I'm going way back. So prayed, I want to be a hospital administrator. I want to go into hospital administration. I want to be a hospital administrator. I want. Well, all through um, school and stuff, everyone said I need to be a teacher. No, that was that underneath. I would have paid attention
Hmm.
because it's like, okay, I want now. I want. So it. By the way, it all worked out well. I'm glad I did what I did because it got
Right.
me to be where I needed to be.
Right.
Totally bizarre, but when I was there in Denver on my knees, going, "What do you want me to do?" I was finally opened up and allowed some of that 95% to come up. Goes,
Hmm.
"Oh, you wanted to be the teacher," what everybody was saying. So it was coming to me, but I was putting it deep into my subconscious, going, "Yeah, whatever, whatever." I was putting it off because what I wanted on the 5% was not what they were telling me. So that's that. I didn't allow that to happen. But when I did finally sit down, just go, I'm at wit's end. I let the stuff come up. It says, "Oh, this is where I need to be." So, so being open would have been a lot cheaper and a lot quicker to get to the work job I should have been. Um, but that's something very, very deep,
Yep.
basic back then. I would have never thought of it then,
Yep.
but that's a huge thing. But if you do that just every now and then, go like, gosh, relax. Not that I want. What do I need, and what is the best process through? So,
And this idea of accepting, allowing and accepting, or accepting where you are, right? Accepting what's coming up for yourself is a really
mhm,
hard one for people, right? Because if something's negative that's coming up within you, you don't want it. You don't want it. And so most of us just, oh, and again, this is where these spiritual communities, oh, law of attraction, I got to think positive. So you divert yourself away from the negative feelings that are coming up, and you focus mentally with your 5% conscious mind to something positive. Oh, no, 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 right? And really what you end up doing is repressing and denying what's going on within you, right?
mhm,
And that stuff's coming up. You got to feel it to heal it. It's coming up for release and love, through love, healing, right? And compassion, so that you
yep,
can release it. But you prevent that. You're blocking it by diverting. That's why they call it
mhm,
spiritual bypassing. You're literally bypassing the thing that's coming up within you, which is the thing that needs release and healing through
yep,
love, so that you can clear it, so that you can get what you want, right? So the universe is
mhm,
constantly doing this for you, trying to help you to heal, and yet you're not. um, so one of the things, David Hawkins wrote a book called Power versus Force, and he's written a gazillion books, and he has a whole following. Is I think he's still alive and in Sedona, Arizona,
mm,
but he did this muscle testing. I don't know if you ever heard of it, where you
uh-uh,
would put something in your hand. Like, let's say you put, uh, fake sugar in your hand, and then they would push your arm down, and it's a muscle test, and you would be weak, meaning they could push your arm down easily. And then they
mhm,
would put, let's say, honey in your hand, and then it would be strong, because honey's good for you, and the artificial sweeteners are not. So
mm,
and you wouldn't even have to know. You could be double blind, and they could do these experiments. So he started doing these experiments with muscle testing, and people will do it whether you touch your
ah,
thumb and pinky, and they could pull it apart easily or not. And you
ah,
test weak when something is inherently not good, and you'll test strong when something's good, whether
hmm,
you know it or not. So they started putting like a word in an envelope, and then boom, is that a good word or a bad word? Is that, good for you or bad for you or whatever? They put stuff in envelopes. You wouldn't know. It'd be double blind. Person would know, oh, you're weak, you're strong, blah, blah, boom. And he started doing all these experiments way back when. This is a long time ago. And he wrote a book called Power versus Force. And he talks about the different energy levels. So he gets really
mhm,
deep spiritually. And the highest energy level is unconditional love. Right.
mhm,
And so he created a whole scale, with universal God's love at 1,000, and shame being the lowest energy.
Mm.
Right. And so
Mhm.
when you feel shame, you're at literally the lowest energy you could feel. And then it goes up, and it's kind of interesting because anger is actually like a third of the way up there. You actually, because you start getting
Mm.
mad at stuff, right? But
Yeah.
that's a higher
Mhm.
energy than shame, which is hopelessness and despair. And there are these really low energies which people don't even want to get out of bed, don't want to do anything, right? And they're feeling those things. Um, the reason I'm bringing that up is allowance and acceptance were part of this energy of like way up there, right? Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yep.
Because
Totally.
it's and I've said before on a podcast that in one teaching they said, unconditional love allows all things, accepts all things, trusts all things, and embraces all things, right?
Mhm.
So and it's almost like a trick. I'm in a state that I don't want to be in. I feel this feeling that I hate. Ugh, it makes me feel, ugh, I hate it.
Mhm.
When you say, okay, this is where I'm at, can I just accept that I'm here right now and sit with this? You literally are shifting from that
Mhm.
state you hate, let's say it's anger, and now you're in acceptance
Yeah.
because you're accepting that you're in anger. Does it make sense? And
Totally. When I go ahead.
and you've literally shifted from David Hawking's scale, logarithmic exponential scale of energies, from this low energy to the one of the highest energies possible, which is acceptance and allowance. It's unconditional love. So
Yeah.
you've changed your energy from this lower energy to a higher energy just by accepting and allowing what is to express itself within you, even though it may not at that moment feel like it, if that
The,
makes sense.
yeah, so, as you were talking, I was gonna make a point, but you started talking into it. I'm like, "That's exactly what I wanna talk about." Good.
Go
So
ahead.
what you were saying, no, so
Yeah.
it goes right off what you're saying. It's like you have to live that moment. So, it's known, so it's not a secret. When I was going to family functions after the divorce, I had a lot of anxiety walking into those functions. It's just
Hmm.
that's where I was. And as I'm driving there, there's the anxiety. I could just feel I almost could feel every vein, every piece of my body. Just that
Yeah.
anxiety. And I'm going like, and I at first I'd suppress it and fight it, go like, get through this. This is stupid. I hate this feeling. And then I just started going like, wait a minute. I'm gonna sit and just actually absorb and feel it. Cause I mean, wow, that's a weird feeling. It
Yeah.
sucks, but I want to feel it so that if I can tell others, well, this is what I felt. This is what it feels like, and
Hmm.
it's not fun. But as I sat there and just accepted it and like enjoyed it per se, and felt the whole process, I was like, wow. And walking in, still having having that feeling, going like, okay, that's where this is.
Yeah.
And it eventually started going away because instead of pushing it down, I started feeling it and living it.
Hmm.
One, I wanted to live it because I was like, hey, will I ever feel this feeling again? I may never feel it again, so I might as well enjoy it and see what it is.
That is
Two,
huge, dude.
and it was hard.
Yeah.
So
Not
no,
saying
so
easy. That's mastery
yeah,
right there, dude.
so
That's
I'm telling you, people, that was not the easiest thing in my life to do. I still get it, and it's like, okay, it may take 5 minutes to process through it. It may take 3 days. I don't know, but instead of fighting it and being angry with it, just go, okay, this is where I am, and walk into the situation knowing that you're feeling that way. And even in the middle, I mean, you could get up, you may be anxiety because you're speaking. Well, feel that anxiety, still live it, don't push it away. Get up and do your speech and sit back down and go, wow, this anxiety sucks. But you're feeling it rather than fighting
it's
it,
like you
you
made
know?
friends with it.
Yes, totally.
You
It's like,
lived with
and
it. You're
and,
not trying
and
to
when I
push it
feel, I go,
away. It's like, okay,
when I
here we
feel it, I
go.
go, oh, here it comes again. Oh crap, how long
Hey,
is this gonna
buddy.
last?
Hey, Mr.
Yeah,
Anxiety, let's go do that speech that you don't want to do. Okay.
exactly. And so I'm telling people, as Sheldon said, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
hard
Yeah.
to accept it. But once I did start accepting it, I was like, "Eh, okay, this sucks, but I'm gonna walk right on through, have fun at the party, go home,
Yeah. That's
and just process through it. So yeah,
there's
so
a
it's there. So
and I know we've kind of talked about this stuff before, but hopefully it drives it home in a different way. But there's also this idea, which I feel like you're expressing there, is that you must become as a child to return to the kingdom of heaven. There's an
mhm,
innocent wonder of a child, right? And a child doesn't judge. A child just wonders. So, and that's kind of like, oh, if you said, oh my God, this is the worst feeling. I hate this feeling. It's terrible. Why is this happening to me? And now you're in victimhood and you're woeing yourself, blah, blah, blah. And then you start wallowing in all this stuff, right? Versus, wow,
Mm-hmm.
man, this is trippy. I'm just going to let this happen. And that is this innocent wonder of whatever's happening, I'm going to sort of just trip out on it. And
Mm-hmm.
one of the best ways to do that to me, and I kind of did this similar process, Dave, was tripping out on how it actually feels in the body.
Yes.
Like you were saying, I could feel my fingers feeling this weird energy flowing through them, or my heart would get, like, holy shit, my heart rate's going up. I can feel the adrenaline pumping through my veins. I'm starting to sweat and, like, oh my God,
Yeah.
and you just literally are tripping out on the physical manifestations of whatever it is that's coming up for you. Like I can feel
Mm-hmm.
my gut getting weird and I am shutting down, my body's shutting down and I'm starting to I just want to go to sleep. I've had that where I'll just want to pass out. Stuff's
Yeah.
coming up and it's emotionally intense and I just want to go to sleep. Like I just want to shut. My body literally will shut down. So I
So
don't want to
tired
deal
from
with
doing
this
that.
anymore.
Yeah.
If Jacqueline and I are going through something, it's just like, it's just like, what are you doing? You're no longer present. You literally shut down, right? But
Wow.
being able to sort of pay attention to that with a sort of lack of judgment, with this innocence, right? Just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this is super. It's like a scientist. Wow, this is super freaking interesting. And that
Mm-hmm.
is witnessing, right? That is putting yourself in a witness state, because you're looking at yourself and sort of tripping out on what's going on
Yeah.
without getting caught in it. um just a quick side that I may have shared before, the neuroscience of meditation, they talk about in Buddhism, there's a practice being angry. And then they would
Mm-hmm.
say, anger is present. And they would name what's coming up. So you could be in a
Mm.
meditation and get irritated, right? Something's coming up. And they would notice it and then label it. And
Mm.
the labeling, when you're angry, you're in the amygdala, the fight or flight mechanism, which is the reptilian
Mm-hmm.
part of the brain, the old part of the brain. And I'm making a fist because it's like the core part of the brain, the oldest part.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and when you would label it, it actually moves the thought centers that are activated go to the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain, the newest part of the brain that makes us human is the prefrontal cortex, executive
Mm.
function, decision making, and right behind your forehead. So where you're processing that anger actually shifts when you become aware of it and label it. So
Mm.
you literally are going from that animal anger, primal anger, to now I'm thinking about my anger, which is kind of a witness state. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
Mm-hmm.
just by becoming aware of a feeling and thinking about it, you're no longer just lost in it.
Yeah. Like some people get so angry, they go, "Oh, I didn't realize I was doing that when I was so angry."
Right.
Yeah, because you got
Right.
so caught up in it.
Right.
But if you witness it and say, "This is the anger that I do this." Okay, so now this is where I am. Why am I angry?
What's going
I'm
on?
going to be angry. It's okay to be angry at
Yep.
that or whatever. Not okay
Yep.
to be angry, but you know what I mean? It's okay that you're there, but
Yep.
as long as you know you're there
Right.
and can
Right.
control what's
Right.
going on. Yeah.
And so that brings in all of these things we're talking about: witness consciousness. Um, but it also, if you can accept mentally, like I'm accepting and I'm okay, and this is okay. Like I said, I've mentioned this before. Matt Kahn has a book called Whatever Arises, Love That. So whatever comes up,
Mhm.
love it, right? And
Love
that
it.
again, love heals all things, love casts out all fear, right? So
Yep.
that this pure love, which is accepting, allowing, embracing, and trusting, that pure highest level vibration love, when you can do that to yourself just by accepting that I'm in a place that I may not even be comfortable with right now and it's driving me crazy and I don't like it or
Mhm.
whatever. But if I can accept that I'm there, this is okay. This is where I'm at right now. You are transmuting that energy, and transmutation of an energy, the word transmute has to do with shifting it, right? So laws of physics, right? Energy is not neither created nor destroyed. The only thing, so you can't destroy a lower energy, you can only elevate it, right? So
Mhm.
that's what happens through acceptance, through love. You elevate a lower energy to a higher form of that same energy. That actually is what the metaphor of the alchemist transmuting lead into gold was supposed to be about. Was it's a metaphor for how do you take a lower vibrational thing and raise the vibration of it to its purest and highest form. The lower form being lead, the higher form being gold. And that's what we are doing through love, through unconditional love,
Mm-hmm.
you can raise your vibration. Again, all of these things are tied together through a bunch of different teachings and a bunch of different ways you can look at it. But the key and the ultimate part of that is it feels very counterintuitive to just accept all this negativity that's coming up inside of me.
Yeah.
Like the last thing we want, oh, I want to be a good person. I shouldn't feel negative. So I'm going to be positive. Well, all of the stuff that we're taught growing up is literally the most
Mm-hmm.
wrong thing you can do to heal yourself,
Yeah.
to manifest a life that you want, to manifest a partner, all that stuff. It's literally completely backwards, which is why in
Mm-hmm.
tarot they have a card called the Hanged Man, which is upside down.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's this energy of flipping your whole world upside down and looking at it differently, right? Because that's
And,
kind of what we're talking about here. Is it's very counterintuitive to where the way we've been raised and the
and
way
and
society.
yeah, from what you're saying, it's when you pull it from that middle to the front, it's now, if you call it, as you said, give it a name, make it not make it a human, make it human. It's now there, because back there it was kind of, I want to say it's a subconscious thing because the anger is there. Now you're paying attention to it when it comes up, rather
Mhm.
than going like, hey, whatever it is there. But now it's like, okay, let's name anxiety, Mr. Anxiety. Okay, Mr. Anxiety, he's right there.
Yeah.
Now I know what's going on in my body. That's Mr. Anxiety. So when that comes up, like you said, Mr. Anxiety, here we go.
Yep.
Let's get through this.
Yep.
It's okay. Somebody say, oh, it's not good to have anxiety, or let's use anger. It's not good to be angry or be critical. Well, if you put it in the front, you now have a name for it. You now have a process. You're thinking of it. So when it does come up, like, I shouldn't be critical. Okay, it comes like, okay, Mr. Critical, why are we being critical? Why am I being critical of that person? And as you process through it, maybe that can eventually be gone.
Yes.
Okay, because you're moving it basically from the middle to the front to out,
Yeah.
or up, however you want to look at it. But that's that whole thing of when you give it a name, like you said, make it visual, then you're paying attention and you can start working it through rather than just being blind to it. So
And that's beautiful, dude. And one of the things that is key about that is that our ego is
yeah.
part of our body. It's part of who we are. It's part of how we get through this world. It's designed to help us, right? So that reptilian part of the brain is trying to preserve your body and preserve you and keep you safe, but it's in fear mode all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it serves a purpose. So sometimes people, when they get into these spiritual teachings, they're like, oh, I want to kill my ego. I want to get rid of my ego. I want to shut it
Oh
down. And it's just like, it's more like
no.
making, I always say it's kind of like a baby that's a little bit of a brat. So you're putting it on your shoulder and you're hugging it and you're going there, 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 and you kind of rock it and you comfort it and you're making friends with it and you're saying, okay, right?
Yeah.
But you cannot destroy your ego. So that is one of the funny things that a lot of people will talk about or think about or read about, or the idea of, destruction of the ego is just hilarious to me. It's impossible, right? It's part of this existence.
It's you.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's part of you. And so,
So
but like you were saying, you can name aspects and you're befriending it. You're literally
mm-hmm.
like, okay, we're going to go for this ride. Let's go. I know you don't want to
Yeah.
go, but you're going to go. And you're doing that gently, compassionately, with that sense of curiosity. What's going to happen to you when we do this thing that you're not feeling right now? I know
Mm-hmm.
that there's a lot of weird
And
reactions.
and I'll use an example. We've talked about it before, and God bless all my friends all my colleagues at work. Nothing personal. We've talked about it. And I'm thinking now, as we're talking, I had this anger in that middle part, and you said the names. I can't remember the names. And it was like when they'd come in and do stuff, I'd get angry. I'd blow up. So the anger was there.
Mm-hmm.
As the year went on, I started paying attention. Like, okay, so I'm gonna come in the morning. I know this is going to happen. So basically, that anger was now in front. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't ever give it a name, but now I will. And talking to my daughter on the way into work, or talking to her, yeah, I'm worried about going in. She's like, why? Because this happened last night. I know that they didn't do this, this, and this. And I have something that needs to be set up when I walk in. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to spend the first hour and a half redoing the library.
Mm-hmm.
Walk in, and guess what? Had to redo the whole library because they didn't do what they were supposed to do.
Right.
So instead of blowing and being upset, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm angry. Yes, I'm angry, but I'm going to get this done. Okay, so I used the aggression of the anger to get things going. I had the energy.
Mm-hmm.
And when the people came in that were there last night, instead of blowing up, I just said, just so you know, this first hour and a half of my day that I had things to do, I was fixing what you guys did. Well, we were going to come in and fix it later. No, I had stuff to do today, and there's people coming in 5 minutes, so you're late.
Yeah.
So instead of yelling at them
Yeah.
and being angry, I guess I still showed that I was not happy,
Yep.
but not in
You're,
an angry way because I
yep.
recognize the anger. So it's okay to still hold on to that ego, if I can call it that anger, but not blow
Yeah.
with that anger because now I'm in control.
Yep.
A little bit.
You're and you know, it's a good point about you still, there are circumstances where we need to set boundaries, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
express, what we're feeling clearly. And the more that you've cleared out that anger and worked with it, the less aggressive that energy is.
Yes.
And then people will hear you, right? Whereas if you start yelling at people, well, you didn't tell us this, or next thing you know, you're in a fight and they're all defensive and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Versus, hey, you know what? I really, it means a lot to me. It matters. Why? Well, because there's stuff that needs to happen, blah 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 blah, and I need it done in the morning. That's why I asked you to do it. Oh, okay, so next time you do it, please, I need it done,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not just
Yep.
making up the time. There's a reason why I'm telling you this. And they're like, okay, I got it, right? Same thing happened to me in a shop. I know we've talked about that. Where shifting my energy before coming to a place of peace,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
meditating before and then going out into the shop. Hey, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, well, no, actually, I need you to do this first. Oh, okay, cool. And that's it. It's like a 2-second conversation where
Mm-hmm.
nobody's offended, nobody's mad. Versus if you start yelling at the guys, which I used to do. What the fuck are you doing? You don't. I told you, motherfucker. Da, da, da. And they're like, pissed off, defensive, angry, and that shit,
Yep.
that energy could stay
Mm-hmm.
for weeks if it never goes away. They
Yeah.
they know that you're going to bite their head off at any moment, and so the whole dynamic changes. Versus from a leadership perspective, not doing that changes how you are with changes how they are to you, forever, and just
Yeah.
creates a better culture, a better place, right? So that
And
energy radiates out, right?
mm-hmm.
And so that whole idea. One other thing that popped in my head earlier, and I didn't say it, I want to say it, is I
Mm-hmm.
think I might have mentioned this before in the Kabbalah, right? The Kabbalah, I think is how you say it. I think the emphasis is the accents on the last syllable, Kabbalah. Anyway, that mystical Judaism, which, all of the teachings have like a very mystical side. And that side tended to be the people that really got it and really dove in deeply with the teaching and really experienced personal transformation. So,
Mm-hmm.
Christianity has the Christian mystics and the saints and the monks that went off and really experienced something profoundly transformative. And I think the Sufis are the Muslim
Mm-hmm.
mystics, right? And in Judaism, they have the Kabbalah, and there's the whole, teachings that are far more mystical. And their definition of God, I think I might have mentioned this before, God's will for you is unbounded delight.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be happy. That's what God wants. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's not a angry, punishing, judgmental kind of thing, fear-based thing. That is our mental construct that we created about these things because we couldn't understand it and cope with the idea that everything is love. And so we're literally blocking. And so that's what they literally talk about, which is, okay, if you're not feeling that,
Mm-hmm.
what's inside you that you need to release so that you can experience that, so that you
Yeah.
can feel that, so that you can receive, right? You have to get to that place of receivership, right?
Mm-hmm.
Allowing yourself, opening yourself up, healing all the blocks so that you can receive this sense of fullness, right? And that's that whole thing of returning to original wholeness, which we talked about before.
Yeah. And that's what this whole talk has been about. What you just said right there, just finding where you are, accepting where you are, and just being and getting through that and knowing what it is, at that whole point. So, yeah,
I think
I love it.
we're good, right?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. It's hopefully all you out there are hearing some good things out there because I wrote down some things. I do. So people out there, if you're watching this for the first time, when I look down, I'm doing notes. I scribble.
Points for
So
focus.
yeah, points for focus, and then hold on, I'm blind people. So this homework theory idea is about you. I think it's all been about you, about us.
Right.
So, but I'm just gonna say you. Okay, so I'll do the quote at the end. Couple things. It's not going to be real homework. It's just going to be think these through and process these through, because things we've talked about. Um, Choose how you respond to people. You have a choice. So
Mhm.
first one is when something comes up, choose how you respond to yourself and to others. But right
Mhm.
now, we're mostly working on ourselves because we've been talking about how critical we can be to ourselves. So choose how you respond. Okay. Do it with love and compassion, especially to yourself. Um, Whatever rises, I love it because I love that quote. Whatever rises up, accept it, process through it, enjoy it if you can in some way, because like, hey, this is kind of cool. I never had this feeling before, and process through it. And then the last thing is, I love that quote you were talking. Frequency is what you frequently see. So what you're seeing is what's within you. So
Mhm.
if there's something you don't like, as you said, why do I not like that? Is that something that's going on inside of me? It may be something that's a bad thing, but know what that frequency is, and that is what you're going to frequently see.
Mhm.
So, yeah. So three things: choose how to respond to yourself and to others with love and compassion. Whatever arises, love it. And then the frequency is what you frequently see. So start looking at things in a different way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And
So,
it is a fundamental shift in how we see things and how we interpret things. So,
mhm,
you know,
yeah,
things
it's
there might be
and
some challenges with it,
yeah, and it
but
manifests, and that helps manifest so many things of
Mhm.
where we are inside. If you're doing all those, inside helps you manifest to what's going on around you.
Yes, you're fundamentally clearing out that 95% of the iceberg. You're
Yeah.
clearing that out. So you're
Hmm.
opening yourself up to be ready to receive God's will, which is an unbounded delight that
Yeah.
you are happy and you're fulfilled in
Hmm.
every aspect. So um, that's what you're tapping into, right? You're tapping into
Yeah.
that. And the beautiful thing is you don't have to believe it. If you do what we're talking about, things will
That's right.
change anyway. And you'll just feel better. So number one, if you just
Yeah.
want to feel better, this stuff will help you feel better no matter what.
Yeah.
And, you don't have to actually believe there's an external actor or an energy or anything like that. These things work. So, and that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So,
Helps you inside
yep,
big time.
you will feel
Yeah.
better no matter what.
So love it. All
So
right.
that's a wrap. I think if you're still listening, we're going to ask
Yeah.
that you give us a comment, share this with people that might be interested, like, subscribe, share, all that stuff. Um,
If you haven't heard previous episodes, go back and listen to a couple episodes. And
yep,
we enjoy those that are listening. And we hope that we're out there helping you along this journey of life,
yep,
which we all kind of process through. So there's ups, there's downs, and we want to help you through both and just find that peace and happiness.
yep. Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Take care. Till next week.
Yep. Have a great day. Have a great week, and keep that smile on.